about something that's certainly not dipping at the moment, and that is oil and gas. Give us your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Probably two of the best performing commodities we've seen this year. I think crude's up about 45% year to date, and natural gas about 35%. And we saw on Monday this week, natural gas futures in one day at the first point of trading were up 36%. So obviously, a lot to unpack there. I think obviously we've spoken about a lot of it is to do with pricing and supply premiums, and that's what a lot of it really comes from at the moment. We see Russia supply 8.5% of the world's oil, and like Louis said, people are going elsewhere for ethical reasons at the moment. It's the exact same with coal, which is why a lot of people have been speaking to our coal players this week. We saw Whitehaven do 10% yesterday off the back of that. But strictly with oil and gas, I think obviously, it's to do with supply risk premiums. We see 40% of Europe's gas come from Russia, and then a third of that 40% goes...
So let me just say that to me again. 40% of Europe's gas gets supplied by Russia.
And then a third of that travels through Ukraine.
Okay, then. So
obviously, the two countries in the conflict, that's only going to create a bigger supply squeeze there. So some pretty major issues there.
Weren't you telling me gas futures were up 67% last week or something? Something astronomical like that?
Yeah, so the futures have been, I guess, lots of volatility across all these commodities. I think we've seen obviously the same with, like Louis said, with gold, lots of volatility in there as well. But we also saw that there was an OPEC meeting this week, and they've come out and put their foot down saying that they're not going to supply any more than already agreed, which was they were going to increase, I think, up about 400,000 barrels per day in April. And they've sort of put their foot down and said there's no need to sort of step in any further, even though the US has already threatened to impose sanctions on Russia with respect to commodities. Now, we've sort of spoken about the fact that there's not any in place yet. Yeah. As you said, people are already starting to look elsewhere. So obviously we'll have an impact, but maybe not as much as people first.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you've got to think about what's being priced in right now. Are they pricing in that they expect sanctions, or are they just pricing in people not wanting Russian oil, or are they pricing in none at all? Because just imagine if we hit those sanctions, where oil could go to. And I had to double take this morning, and I read a JP Morgan note saying that oil, let me say 1 barrel of oil, there's no reason it couldn't hit $185 per barrel if the current issues don't continue to persist and extend from where they currently are. And that is mind-blowing. I think that would be a record high in the history of records that we have at the moment, 185 barrel oil.
We saw European natural gas actually hit an all-time high this week. Wow. All-time high. So, definitely big commodities boom at the moment. They're saying the biggest commodities boom since 2009, and all seem to be benefiting at the moment.